Good afternoon. My name is Maxine Bryan, and today I will be talking about standardized testing. What is standardized testing, and how can I connect, extend, and challenge? In this video, I will reflect on the concept of standardized testing, reliability, and validity, and the best types of tests for young children using the connect, extend, and challenge routine. To begin, first I believe we should talk about what is standardized testing? Well, I'm glad you asked. Standardized testing is a test that helps specified content procedures for administration and scoring normative data for interpreting scores. This includes but is not limited to achievement test, aptitude test, and intelligence test. Standardized tests are used to understand the skills of infants, toddlers, and young children. Today, I will begin by connecting it to self. I have experienced standardized testing through three facets of my personal life: early childhood specialist. Previous to this, I was in the medical background, um, and in two different sectors of my life. And so that is why I put it twice, and I will talk about it. And as a mother. Um, as an early childhood specialist, I use something called the Pocket Assessment Tool at my elementary school to track and assess pre K student skills and to maintain their portfolios. This aligns with the textbook's discussion on the importance of assessments for preschoolers, which creates multiple developmental domains. That is what the textbook references. It says it again, it creates multiple developmental domains. Now, in the medical field, um, I previous to this, many moons ago, I used diagnostic testing like APGAR scale and the neonatal behavior scale. The textbook emphasized really the significance of diagnostic testing for infants and toddlers to identify and address early physical and developmental disorders. This reinforces the importance of early diagnosis and intervention, which I am well acquainted with from my previous medical practice. Lastly, as a mother, although I did not grow up in the United States, I am familiar with standardized tests like the FSA or Florida Standard Assessment through my daughters who experienced the Performance Matters Assessment as well, which is a national assessment. So I went over a national assessment, which is the APGAR scale and other infants assessments that are described in our textbook. Um, I witnessed the FSA, which is a state standardized test that my daughters c- practiced in. Also, the FCAT, if you know, that was previous to FSA. The pocket assessment that my personal school goes through. So, really, when I was reading this chapter, I had a lot of examples to connect it to from my previous experience. So, specifically, the one that everybody is familiar with is FSA and FCAT. As educators, we are asked to help our students succeed in these particular departments. Here are some posters, both from the FAST test, Florida Assessment of Student Thinking, another examination, and the FCAT. I realize not everybody knows what the FCAT is, although it was a previous test for Florida. It has since been outdated, but here is a brief understanding. You may pause this video at this time to read in more detail about these two state standardized exams. In addition, if you'd like to know more about the APGAR scale, here is a drawing that I have that displays the criteria for the APGAR scale that I previously talked about. Great. Now let's extend. In this section, I will discuss new ideas that extend my thinking in new directions based on the chapter that I read. The chapter highlighted how standardized test results can be used to describe and compare success between different schools over time. This is a new perspective for me, as I hadn't considered how the results could provide valuable insight into the effectiveness of educational programs and interventions across various contexts. Lastly, the challenge. I will first begin talking about, or um, I will try to understand the types of validity. I found this quite challenging to fully understand the different types of validity and how each one ensures the accuracy and effectiveness of a test. The correlation between these types of validity and the specific tests they are associated with are still very confusing to me. In addition, it appears as if standardized testing is a one size fits all. And as you know, our children are not one size fits all. Another challenge is understanding what makes someone most compatible to take a standardized test, which everyone must take despite their individual differences. The notion of a one size fits all approach in standardized testing raises questions for me in particular about fairness and whether these tests can accurately measure diverse capabilities of all students. As I previously stated, when I was talking about validity, I have to acknowledge what the textbook says. It says that there are three types of validity: content, criterion, and construct. Content says it needs to examine whether a test measures the entire range of concepts it's supposed to cover. For example, a math test, it should cover all relevant topics like arithmetic, algebra, geometry, right? Much like our FSAs have math portions. However, understanding how to ensure a test has content validity and correlates with its appropriate assessments is hard. Criterion. It assesses whether a test outcomes are consistent with other measures of the same construct. Again, if a new reading test is valid, its results should correlate highly with established reading tests. Grasping how this validity type relates to standardized testing, that is difficult, and construct, whether a test truly measures the theoretical construct it intends to measure. For example, an intelligent test should accurately reflect the construct of intelligence, not just academia, right? Not just general knowledge. Understanding how to establish construct validity and its application in standardized testing remains confusing because the nuance of ensuring a test measuring what it claims to measure and differentiating between the three types of validity requires a psychometric principle. In general, the accountability lies way to cultural bias that disadvantage students from different backgrounds, such as myself. So we question the context. Are they familiar with the cultural nuances? Are they at the developmental variation? Young children, as the textbook states, develop at different rates, and the standardized test may not account for these variations. So, a child who is a late bloomer may perform poorly on a test designed for their age group, even though they might excel if given more time. Understanding how standardized tests in general accommodate, adapt to these diverse needs, and ensure fair and accurate assessment is challenging, but that is why we are here to connect, extend, and challenge the status quo. Thank you.